Craig Bolerjack, guys.
Rob, thanks. Case McCoy, and Texas is primed and ready for a football Saturday in Austin. The Longhorns have won 6 in a row. Oklahoma State, 5 straight. Both are ranked in the top 25 and making a big run at the Big 12 title. It's Fox College Football presented by Kay Jewelers, the Cowboys and Longhorns. Oh, the Big 12 is top heavy with Texas, Baylor, and Oklahoma State. McCoy led the Longhorns to their 6th straight win last week at West Virginia. Baylor plays Texas Tech later on tonight here on Fox. And a big welcome, Craig Bolerjack, Joey Harrington, Ryan Neese will join us in just a moment. You can feel the Big 12 atmosphere today in Austin, Texas. Oklahoma State, Joey, ranked number 12 in the country. However, not a lot of headlines have come with that national ranking. Yet this team is so dangerous offensively, over 40 points a game.
Well, and they score in every conceivable way. 9 guys have caught touchdowns. 5 guys have run for touchdowns. They've had a kickoff return, 2 punt returns, an interception return, a fumble return. They do it in every way possible. But without Josh Stewart, their big play wide receiver and kick returner, the onus is going to fall on Clint Chelf. He needs to improve on his 50% completion percentage right now if they expect to make the run in the Big 12. And Ryan, Texas has a whole D-line ready to pressure Clint Chelf today.
Joe, you're absolutely right. They flat out can get after the quarterback. They lead the Big 12 in sacks. They're averaging 4 sacks a game. They're led by Cedric Reed and Jackson Jeffcoat at the defensive end. From my eyes, they're going to be on Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown typically wears number 90, but today he's going to be wearing number 96. He's going to be honoring Chris Whaley, who's out with a season-ending knee injury. What a great honor. What a tremendous way of respecting his teammate. And it also demonstrates how much Chris Whaley will be missed here on defense in today's game.
It's a 3-team race in the Big 12. Number 5 Baylor plays later on Fox. But first, we'll see Oklahoma State 5-1 in the conference. Try to hand Texas their first loss in conference play. Stay close. Cowboys, Longhorns, next on Fox. Here they come, the Texas Longhorns. And a big welcome to Darrell Royal Texas Memorial Stadium on a football Saturday. Craig Bolerjack, Joey Harrington, Ryan Neese, glad you're alongside with us on Fox. The head coach of Oklahoma State, Mike Gundy, in his 9th season. 2-6 all-time against Texas. Both wins, however, coming right here in Austin. On the flip side, Mack Brown, 16th year here in Austin, 57 wins along the way, and a national title back in 2005. He's catching up on Darrell Royal, whom the stadium is named after. Joey, interesting matchup today. Oklahoma State on the stretch run, trying to gain a Big 12 championship, as is Texas, who's won 6 in a row.
Well, how perfect is that? Texas, Oklahoma State, and Baylor all play each other over the last month of the season. This Big 12 title is up for grabs, and there's no backing into it. Every one of these teams is going to have to go out and earn it on the field in the month of November. You couldn't ask for a better setup to win a conference championship.
Nick Rose has it teed up. Texas won the toss. They chose to defer until the second half. Winds gusty. Beautiful, though, overcast day in mid-November here in Austin. Justin Gilbert set to go. Had a 100-yard kick return for a touchdown against Kansas. His 6th career. He's got a motor, and we're ready to play in Austin. Gilbert, 1 yard deep. Makes a cut 20. Gilbert breaks another 30, 35, and to the 41-yard line goes Justin Gilbert. Terrific field position for Oklahoma State to start this game. And as the Cowboys huddle up, Joey, Clint Chelf.
Clint has taken over for J.W. Walsh, came in the second quarter against TCU. And not only has played well throwing the football, but has really developed his legs. Surprisingly, has run for 3 touchdowns over the last 3 weeks.
the Cowboys love this field position to start their first drive. Chelf, a senior out of Enid, Oklahoma. They'll start shotgun with Desmond Rowland in the backfield. Cowboys run on the first play from scrimmage, 2 yards, banging their way to the 43-yard line. Let's check out today's impact players.
And for Oklahoma State, Desmond Rowland, 8 touchdowns over the last 3 weeks, has come into the backfield. And Tracy Moore is going to have to play well outside with Josh Stewart being out. On the defensive side of the ball, Jackson Jeffco and Cedric Reed, the 2 defensive ends for Texas, need to wreak havoc in the backfield.
Second down 8, they swing it out to Rowland, makes a nifty cut, goes down the sideline, banged hard, right at midfield. Steve Edmond made a big welcome to Austin, Texas on that hit, just shy of the first down.
Well, here's our first chance to see who's taking place for Chris Whaley. Can Malcolm Brown and the Texas defensive tackles bow up their necks and stop Desmond Rowland, who we're pretty sure is going to be running this ball straight down the middle for this first down?
3rd down and 1. Dancing, pushing. Doesn't look like the spot's going to go Oklahoma State's way. They needed to get to the 49-yard line. And Joey looks to be just over midfield.
Well, I think they're going to come up just a little bit short here on this first down attempt. But the D lineman for Texas did a fantastic job submarining out, reestablishing the line of scrimmage into the backfield and stopping Desmond Rowland, who has emerged as the ball carrier, the primary ball carrier for Oklahoma State. He's a strong runner, a very physical downhill runner, and they stepped up great to stop that first down.
Kip Smith averaging just over 40 yards of a punt. Gives it a high loft and a fair catch way for it. At the 10-yard line, takes a big bounce. Oklahoma State right on the spot. Great special teams play and will pin the Longhorns back at their own 3-yard line. A 47-yard kick by Kip Smith. So Joey, let's bring out Case McCoy. Last week against West Virginia, an overtime victory. 27 of 49, 283 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Well, I love watching Case McCoy play. He's not the flashiest guy out there. He's not the big arm, overly fast quarterback, but you know what he does? He's smart. He knows football. He knows how to get his team into the right play versus each defensive look. And the coaches have given him a lot of leeway to control this Texas offense.
McCoy 5-1 as a starter since taking over for the injured David Ash. Texas, like Oklahoma State, will start on the ground as they push it past the 5-yard line with Malcolm Brown and a host of Cowboys in on that start. Let's check out impact players.
Well, Malcolm Brown is right in there, 7 touchdowns over the last 4 weeks. And Jackson Shipley, when he needs a completion, Case McCoy is going to Jackson Shipley. On the defensive side of the ball, Justin Gilbert, 4 interceptions this year to go along with a fantastic return game. And Calvin Barnett is going to have to be tough inside to stop Malcolm Brown and Joe Bergeron today.
From the shotgun. Again, the handoff, nice cut at the 11-yard line, close to a first down. Malcolm Brown, who's going to carry a big load today. Joey, Jonathan Gray injured last week. An Achilles injury that we saw in Morgantown. He left the field with 780 yards and 4 touchdowns. They're going to continue to run up against the front of Oklahoma State. Castleman, number 91, the defensive tackle, made the stop.
Well, anytime you lose a player like Jonathan Gray, Craig, it's going to be a loss. But Texas, probably more than anybody in the country, has the depth to fill in that position. Malcolm Brown, over the last 4 weeks, 379 yards and 7 touchdowns. Was really emerging as the featured back.
Longhorns move the chains, and again, they run it off the edge down to the 17-yard line. Let's get our first check with Ryan Neese.
Craig and Joe, we just saw in those first 4 plays, Texas is going to run the football. Obviously, they want to set the tempo. They want to be physical. It's pretty impressive because they're going against a loaded front. Oklahoma State is loading the box and playing man-to-man defense. You shouldn't run against that, but they're doing a great job.
3 minutes in, first quarter. The motion man, Deshae Johnson. Ryan Simmons on the stop. Joey, nothing fancy here. It's mano a mano.
Well,
man against man.
And just like Ryan said, Texas is trying to establish a tempo, establish the line of scrimmage. They may not get huge plays to start the game, but it's the type of play calling that will pay off later in the ball game as you start to tire down the Oklahoma State defensive line.
Right now they're getting a heavy dose of Malcolm Brown, who had 89 yards on 28 carries last week against the Mountaineers. Now the officials are going to jump in. And a timeout called.
Texas takes their first timeout.
Texas will burn a timeout. We'll keep it here. And there's Mac Brown. You know, he told us yesterday with the injuries, and Oklahoma State suffering through the same thing today without their wide receiver, Josh Stewart. But he said, look, there's no excuses, no regrets. Next man up.
Texas, more than any program in the country, probably has the ability to do that. I mean, look at their running back situation. Malcolm Brown and Joe Bergeron, who are going to be stepping in for Jonathan Gray, were both co-starters as true freshmen here in 2011. Joe Bergeron had 16 touchdowns running the ball last year, and like I said a moment ago, over the last 4 weeks, even with Jonathan Gray in the lineup, Malcolm Brown has started to carry more of the load for Texas. It's just kind of a hot hand. You know, who's the hot running back? And while you hate to see a talented player and a good person like Jonathan Gray go down, Texas has the ability to simply plug and play. They just put the next man in.
Gray had surgery on Wednesday, and he was at the team dinner last night. Did not want to leave that leadership role as McCoy's back.
It says a lot about his character there.
Absolutely.
To show up right from the hospital.
Bergeron now checks into the backfield after Malcolm Brown got some early carries. 3rd down and 5 for the Longhorns. McCoy's going to attempt the first pass of the day, and they try to hit a hot slant at the 25 to Mike Davis. It's incomplete. Good on the back coverage by Justin Gilbert, the corner.
Well, they went right after him. They went right after the talented corner of Justin Gilbert, and they went after him with their big play wide receiver, Mike Davis. I like the play calling. It was a smart call. It was a you could sense Texas's game plan right from the start today.
Low snap. Farah with the punt. David Glidden filling in for the injured Stewart, and that ball is off and fumbled, recovered by the Cowboys. It went out of bounds at the 28-yard line. And oh, what an early break for the Oklahoma State Cowboys from Stillwater. We've got a timeout. Just over 11 minutes left. Opening quarter in Austin. Fox College Football is sponsored by the all-new 2014 Jeep Cherokee, built free. There he is, Bevo. You got Ralphie at Colorado. You got Bevo at Texas.
Not too many mascots or schools have the live mascot down on the field, huh? I don't think Donald Duck is coming into Eugene too often.
So Oklahoma State with a second possession. Chelf goes back to work, this time at the 27-yard line. On 1st down, yeah, he's got legs, hits the edge. 1st down at the 40-yard line, call it the 39. Thompson, the free safety, ran him down. Good play action. Chelf can run. Averages, Joey, nearly 8 yards a carry.
Well, not the book on Chelf was that he's the passer, not a runner. J.W. Walsh was the runner, but the last couple weeks, Chelf has shown his ability to carry the ball.
Play action, watch out. Heavy pressure from the edge. And Texas again comes in to drop Chelf. No, that ball came out, and it's at the 39-yard line.
And what a heads-up play by Clint Chelf in the backfield after avoiding the sack. Carrington Bindum came free off the backside edge. Clint Chelf wiggles his way free and then dumps the ball off to his running back.
18-yard pickup. Cowboys moving fast. Roland hits a wall. A host of Longhorns made the stop right at the 40-yard line. I'll tell you, a little Houdini play there by Chelf. Impressive. Just popped it straight out, and Roland did the rest.
Well, you know what? Texas, the last couple weeks, has shown that corner blitz. They did it twice against West Virginia. Carrington Bindum caused a fumble last week. This week he gets free, gets a clean shot on Chelf, but can't bring him down.
2nd down, 10. Chelf pulls it down, runs straight up the gut. Hasn't been touched now. Takes a hit down at the 20-yard line by Thompson again, who had the middle of the field. And I tell you right now, Chelf and his legs causing some confusion for the Texas defense.
But like we said, J.W. Walsh is considered the running quarterback for Oklahoma State. But the last 3 weeks, Clint Chelf had a 65-yard touchdown run against Tech. He has run the ball extremely well.
Batted down, 2nd and 10. Oklahoma State. High offensive pressure here early. Jackson Jeffcoat got his hand up on that ball. 6'5", 250-pound end for the Longhorns. Jeremy Smith now checks in for Oklahoma State in the backfield. Chelf trying to sell that belly play, and he keeps the ball and is knocked down right at the sticks, maybe a yard at the 18-yard line.
Maybe went to the well one too many times there. You know, Clint Chelf has been the changeup to Desmond Rowland, who's been a fantastic running back over the last few weeks.
Joey, 7th play of this drive, and this house is noisy. Again on a keeper, Chelf up the middle, walks in untouched, and Oklahoma State strikes on their 2nd offensive series. And Joey, that drive was all about Clint Chelf and his legs, an 18-yard run.
Well, and he did it twice, right up the gut of this Texas defense. On that last play, they brought pressure off the edge, left nobody in the middle of the field. And when you do that, when you commit to getting to the quarterback and have no safeties playing the run, you leave yourself vulnerable to a quarterback run, and Clint Chelf just saw that and took it right up the gut for a touchdown. 3rd
rushing touchdown for Chelf has been Grogan is in to try the PAT. He's knocked in 48 of 49 on this high-powered Oklahoma State offense. And this splits the uprights, and maybe a surprise because it's Texas crowd. There's a hush here in Austin. Chelf brings it down and rumbles in 18 yards. Cowboys up on the road by 7.
On that last touchdown drive, we thought we'd see a heavy dose of Desmond Rowland, but instead it was Clint Chelf. The guy who's not supposed to be the runner of the quarterbacks ran for 85 yards against Iowa State, 88 against Texas Tech, and already on that drive carried the ball 4 times for 54 yards and a touchdown, Craig.
That play just over, or that series just over 2 minutes. How about Oklahoma State? 6-1 this season under Mike Gundy when they score first. And so they're up 7 on their 2nd series, and they kick away. High hanger taken to the 3-yard line. Dejae Johnson. Dangerous return man, but he stacked up back at the 17. Well, the Big 12 standings, here you go, down the stretch. You know Texas, after that loss to Brigham Young, they made the change defensively, Joey, and coordinators. And since that point in time, they've run off 6 straight wins. Baylor red hot from the start, and now Oklahoma State beaten 6 weeks ago in the hills of West Virginia. They're still in the hunt for a Big 12 title.
Well, you know what I love about this conference is every single one of these teams plays each other in November. You got to earn it on the field. There's no backing into this. You can't back into a Big 12 championship. It's going to be right up front, earning it on the field in November.
Now let's see how Texas responds after the Cowboy touchdown. McCoy in the shotgun on 1st down, and they'll start this drive at the 18-yard line. Straight ahead running, and a hop and a skip over that line is Malcolm Brown. He's knocked down by Levy, the middle linebacker, who's going to be in on a lot of plays today. Keep an eye on number 45 for Oklahoma State. Brown picked up 5, 2nd down and 5. McCoy slingshots it, tries to get a block. Johnson could not, and he is pulled down with no gain at the 24. Patman, number 26, Tyler Patman with the tackle. So far, we've seen some pretty disciplined coverage on the corners.
And you wouldn't expect anything less from this Oklahoma State defense. This isn't a defense full of superstars. You don't watch them play and say, God, that guy's an incredible player. But you know what? They are just solid in their technique, and every single one of them is a very, very good football player. This is a disciplined defense that's going to play their technique all day long. 19 sacks, 16 interceptions for the Cowboys defense on the season as McCoy stands tall in the pocket, throws, and the catch the 35-yard line. Mike Davis got open, and he just grabbed his 34th catch of the season. Texas wastes no time back of the line. They want to get this ball back in play. McCoy takes a glance at the sideline.
4 wide receiver set. On the edge. Malcolm Brown, Levy meets him once again following that block of Shipley.
Well, fantastic job by the offensive line as well, allowing Malcolm Brown to get to the edge, hooking the defensive end there. This offensive line has played a lot of games together, and they know how to work as a unit.
Malcolm Brown already 7 carries for 28 yards, just touched the ball for the 8th time and pushes forward. And Levy and company with another tackle just short of the chains at the 44-yard line.
Well, we said it a minute ago on that first drive. We know what Texas's strategy is today. They're going to run the football. They are going to establish the line of scrimmage, and they are going to try and push Oklahoma State's defensive line back. There's nothing fancy about what Texas is doing right now. They are pushing Oklahoma State backwards, and they're trying to reestablish the line of scrimmage at the second level of the Oklahoma State defense. 3rd down and short.
Guess who? Right off the hip of Mason Walters, the right guard, 72, and Kennedy Estelle, the right tackle. And Brown gets a first down. Let's go downstairs, check in with Ryan.
Joe, you made a great point. We understand what the game plan is for Texas, and you got to respect that they're being patient. They're continuing to run the ball. They're continuing to eat up the clock, and right now the momentum's starting to shift back to this offense.
Joey, they've run 12 plays, 9 to Brown, make it now 10 of those 13 plays have found the hands of Malcolm Brown.
Well, you know what this tells me, Craig, is how much Texas's offensive coordinator trusts this offensive line. Mason Walters, Dominic Espinoza, Trey Hopkins, Donald Hawkins have combined for 139 starts between the 4 of them. This Texas offensive line is big and experienced, and they know how to work together.
Dave Johnson, the man in motion, McCoy. Sidesteps trouble, puts up a floater, falls incomplete. That play was busted up by O-State's pressure. Lindell Johnson and Zach Craig back in the secondary.
Hey, Craig, we've seen throughout the course of this season that Case McCoy in 3rd down situations likes to look for Jackson Shipley. Here you got a 3rd and 7. Jackson Shipley, 30 of his 46 catches have gone for first downs. Let's take a look and see if Case goes back to his guy Jackson.
I'll tell you, Oklahoma State, their opponents 0 for the last 29 on 3rd down and 7 or longer.
Right here,
That's quite a stat. Shipley was a go-to man last week in West Virginia. Instead it's Bergeron. He sheds a tackle, throws the pads down, and a first down. Texas at the 35.
And what a beautifully drawn up play there, Craig. They fake this wide screen, they fake the bubble screen to the left, Case McCoy, and slipped Joe Bergeron back off to the weak side. Great job of distracting Oklahoma State, splashing a little water, then going back to the weak side.
14-yard pickup. Bergeron trying to escape the tackle, was dropped for a loss of 2 by Jimmy Bean, number 92. Bergeron, interesting story. You know, he was kind of benched because of some fumbleitis earlier in the season, but this guy is a punishing back, Joey. 230 some odd pounds, a junior out of Mesquite, Texas.
He's a big boy, and he can run.
Impressive drive of now 11 plays. McCoy on a flip to Kendall Sanders. Move the chain to the 26.
And what you're starting to see now, Craig, is the balance of Texas's offense. You saw a heavy dose of Malcolm Brown to start. Now Joe Bergeron has touched it. Mike Davis has touched it. Kendall Sanders has touched it. They have talent all over this field.
McCoy, quick flip. Shipley, the possession receiver, first down, 21-yard line. Make it the 22, and he was taken down by Joe Mitchell.
Well, add another guy to that list there. Jackson Shipley is now touched.
Temple on the verge of being upset. Blake Bortles, J.J. Ward
catches this season. Look, Texas will spread the ball around. 7 players have a receiving touchdown. 7 players have a rushing touchdown. This is a talented offense.
3 wide receivers set up high. By the way, Shipley, 47 receptions, 31 have gone for first downs. McCoy escapes, wants the end zone up top, and he throws it away.
And that's a smart play. Very smart play by Case McCoy there, not forcing the ball into Mike Davis, who really wasn't quite on the same page, wasn't expecting the scramble drill there, and it was a nice job of just throwing the ball into the stands and living for another down.
Well, Texas has owned the football for nearly 7 minutes, but yet to find the end zone. Cowboys up by 7 on that Chelf 18-yard touchdown run. This will be the 14th play of this drive for Texas. McCoy back to work, throws, and that ball tipped. Great play by Tyler Patman. How about that? That was, you know, Joey, a quarter of a step earlier, you got a pick 6.
Well, you know what? When you throw this bubble screen, you're relying on your other wide receiver to get a block. And Kendall Sanders there simply got beat inside by Tyler Patman. He was coming on that blitz. He read it. From the moment Case McCoy got the ball in his hands, Tyler Patman was on a beeline, and you have to trust your wide receiver. No matter what it takes, you have to get that block.
Now 3rd down and 10. Texas 5 of 6 on 3rd downs, 4 for 4 on this drive. Will they go to Shipley? McCoy stands in the pocket, feels the pressure. Up top he goes and throws that one out of the end zone, brings up 4th down. And he's a little upset with himself. I don't know if the receivers cut off on that pass down to the 10-yard line, but boy, there was no one in the end zone.
Well, you know what? He was looking for Jackson Shipley there, who hooked up in the zone, and the linebackers simply slid in front of Case McCoy so he couldn't get it to Jackson Shipley. I like the decision. It was smart. Gives your field goal kicker a chance to put 3 points on the board.
Farah has made his last 11. This will be from 39 yards. The kick is up. And the streak continues. 12 straight for Farah. Texas, they get 3. And we've seen physicality here early. What do you expect? Texas, Oklahoma State on Fox. Now this week we asked our Facebook fans which team deserves to be number 3 in the BCS behind Bama and Florida State. Here's how they responded. 45% of you said Baylor, who plays Texas Tech. Right here on Fox later. 34% the Buckeyes, 21% chose Stanford. Go to facebook.com/Fox Sports to participate in the poll and check out the Fox College Saturday question of the week.
And Craig, I agree with the country right now. And not only do I think they should be 3, but I think if they run the table, they could end up being 2.
Big kick, no return. 9 yards deep in the end zone. 7:47 left. Cowboys will have it when we come back to Austin. Up 7-3 on Texas. Fox College Football is sponsored by K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K. By Allstate Insurance, proud supporters of college football. Are you in good hands? And by AT&T, rethink possible. 7-3, Oklahoma State. Joey, Texas went 16 plays, 60 yards over 5 minutes, came away with a field goal.
You think Texas' defense is going to be aware of Clint Chelf on this drive?
I
you think they're going to know where he is?
Handoff, nice cut. Roland hits the edge, hits the 40. Hits the 50 and ridden out of bounds in Texas territory by Michael Thompson, the free safety.
And that was just straight up the gut of that Texas defense. We saw him last week against West Virginia give up chunks to Charles Sims, the tailback for West Virginia. Desmond Roland is a very similar runner. He's strong, he's powerful, and Texas defense is going to have to bow up and stop that today.
Just ran for 29 yards and a first down at the Texas 45. Roland crashes into the front of Malcolm Brown, made the initial hit. Time for a Lowe's Never Stop Improving game break. Let's check in with Patrick O'Neill.
Craig, this is going to be the one on Fox Sports Live. I guarantee it. Central Florida down 8 to Temple. Blake Bortles to J.J. Wharton. One-handed, they were down 8. They come back and win this on a last-second field goal. They're 8-1. The Knights survive. Craig, back to you.
Patrick, I'm going to agree with you. That is the one. What a catch that is. Put that one on the highlight reel as Rennie Childs gets his first carry up to the 44-yard line. Rennie Childs, a true freshman out of Houston. Oklahoma State, 1 of 2 third down conversions. Now we've got a timeout with an injury on the field. Edmonds shaken up, number 33. Looks to be favoring Joey that left shoulder. Leading tackler, 63 stops for Oklahoma State.
Interception to end the game in West Virginia last week.
Third down long, Chelf in the pocket, throws a bullet in the middle of the field and pushing to the 35-yard line. Oklahoma State's going to move the chains and a first down. Jawan Seals, a redshirt freshman, with his 27th catch.
Hey, give credit to the offensive line for Oklahoma State there. They literally cut down the D-line for Texas. They went right at their ankles, knocked them all down, gave Clint Chelf the
Smith. Knocked down hard. Guess who? Middle backer, Dalton Santos. He'll have to really up his game if Edmond can't return.
Great job of Dalton Santos staying outside the block of Oklahoma State. And then cutting through and just making a nice tackle for a loss.
It was a loss of 1, second down 11. Glidden, the motion man. Chelf sells the play action, goes up top, throws a bullet in traffic, and Texas with the pick. Thompson jumped up high and took it away. Michael Thompson, the junior from San Antone, with his first pick. And Texas will have it when we come back to Austin on Fox. Texas with the interception stops that Cowboys drive. Down by 4, they've got the football.
And what a play by Michael Thompson there, the safety position. Just a dependable player, has not missed a game over the last 3 seasons. Just followed Clint Chelf's eyes. Clint had the look he wanted. A single safety in the middle of the field allows you to throw that post, but you have to move the safety. You have to keep him in his position if you want to try and fit that in there. And Clint Chelf just stared it down. Michael Thompson followed his eyes.
It was Chelf's 5th interception of the season. We saw some movements at the line, and the flag's out for the first time today. Mike DeFee, our referee. Here's the call.
Offside. Defense number 99 moved into the neutral zone, causing the offense to move. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Okay, right here, Michael Thompson in the middle of the field is the single safety, and he is simply going to stare at Clint Chelf's eyes. Watch him. Just stares it down, doesn't ever move his eyes away from the middle of the field, and Michael Thompson just moved right into position to make the interception.
A penalty against Oklahoma State. You march off 5. It's first down and short. Bergeron breaks a tackle. Second effort to the 32.
Well, here it is, Craig. Watch Clint Chelf just staring it down. Never looks off the safety. There's never any reason for Michael Thompson to leave the middle of the field. Clint Chelf needs to do a better job with his eyes in creating throwing lanes down the field for his receivers.
You saw the eyes of McCoy. Of course, his brother Colt, 2-time Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year here at Texas. As we roll up on a minute left in this opening quarter. Play clock under 6, now 5, under 4, 3. McCoy just got it away. Nice cut up the middle. Dejae Johnson, oh yes, he will run with the football. He'll catch it as well. That's his 21st carry, Joey, over 100 yards in the season. He's a running back turned wide receiver. That's why you want that ball in his hands.
Well, he is their version of Josh Stewart. He's all over the field, like you said, a running back in 2012. He can do it all.
Second down and 6. Marcus Johnson. And he's dropped for a big loss back around the 31. Sean Lewis. What a read. The strong side linebacker with the stop. And this quarter is winding down quickly. That Brown finds himself down by 4 after 1 here in Austin. Stay tuned. Oklahoma State, Texas on Fox. That is a bird's eye view of Smokey the Cannon. been very quiet thus far as we look at today's Ford stat comparison.
And Craig, here's the number that jumps out to me right there. 87 rushing yards for Oklahoma State. Texas over the last 6 games has only given up 123 yards a game. That was one of the reasons why they replaced Manny Diaz as D coordinator, is they gave up over 500 yards to BYU on the ground. Right now, Oklahoma State is on pace to have a heck of a day on the ground, and Texas needs to shore that up quickly.
Yeah, it was 550 to be exact. Taysom Hill had a big day. And after that, Manny Diaz was out. Greg Robinson in as coordinator at Texas. Longhorns back to work. McCoy backside pressure. Dumps it off. Malcolm Brown open field, and he hits. You can hear those pads pop hard at the 40-yard line. Oklahoma State came and dealt him a blow, led by Lewis and Mitchell.
And what a great job of being patient in the pocket there by Case McCoy. Yes, you didn't get yourself a first down, but what you did by sitting in the pocket and keeping your eyes downfield is you allowed the defense to continue sinking under the routes, and then you just dumped it down to Malcolm Brown. It's a safe, smart throw, and that's what Case McCoy does, is he facilitates this offense by making great decisions.
Texas will punt on 4th down and 2. Good punt. Glidden pedals back inside the 10 and takes a bounce. How about that? Special teams coverage all over it. And they're going to mark it at the 9-yard line. When we come back, Clint Chelf is going to go back to work. Cowboys on the road up 7-3 in Austin. Fox College Saturday, presented by Kay Jewelers, continues next with another big matchup in the Big 12. Texas Tech takes on 5th-ranked Baylor as the Bears trying to remain undefeated and keep their national title hopes alive. 7 o'clock Eastern tonight right here on Fox. Big day of football. This drive starts at the 9-yard line after a Texas punt of 50-yard. Chelf batted down, incomplete. You know, talk about Baylor for just a moment, Joey. What a job quarterback Bryce Petty's done with the Baylor Bears.
Fantastic, having a Heisman-type season. I'm interested to see, though, today how they respond. They lost Tevin Reese outside. They lost Glasgow Martin and Lake Seastrunk in the backfield. Let's see if some of these other guys can fill those spots and keep this Baylor offensive machine moving.
2nd down 10. Thompson's been all over the field. He's had a pick, and that time he knocks Chelf out right at the 20-yard line, and a first down for Oklahoma State.
Well, how about Kyle Staley, the fullback, getting in there and getting a big block for Chelf? Just followed the big man out to the edge. And I think Chelf is really catching Texas's defense off guard. Like I said earlier, he has not been considered the running quarterback of the 2, but the last 3 weeks, he's done a fantastic job with his legs, and he's doing it so far today.
4 wide receivers. Chelf this time on a straightaway handoff and a pickup of 4 to the 24-yard line. So that ground game's been all Chelf and Desmond Rowland thus far. Cedric Reed with Malcolm Brown in on the tackle.
Craig, you know what I love about Clint Chelf, and the coaches told us this earlier, and you can see it watching film. They said they love how mature he is. He never gets too high or too low. And after an interception in the end zone on that last drive, you'd expect a lot of quarterbacks to panic, but he's just come back and meticulously run this offense.
Straight ahead. Peter Jenkins knocks down Rowland. I mean, both these teams, Joey, doing nothing really that fancy. It's straight ahead, up against your O-line, against my D. And you flip the switch, you go the other side.
You know, exactly, and now you're going to get another chance like this. 3rd and 1. Texas had it earlier in the ballgame. I'd expect to see Desmond Rowland up the gut. Let's see if these Texas D tackles can make a stop.
Weak side linebacker Steve Edmond back after being shaken up earlier. There's a cutback. And a good read by the Longhorns. Tracy Moore tackled at the 32-yard line.
And Craig, Desmond Rowland there is hurting, shaking his shoulder out. He was laying there on the ground, shaking his arm like he dinged up the shoulder. That's not something that Oklahoma State can afford to lose right now.
Rowland goes out. Jeremy Smith checks in the backfield for the Cowboys on a first down. He'll get the carry and hits a wall. Hello, says Malcolm Brown. He wears 90 during the regular season, but today, 96, as you mentioned, as Ryan talked about, in honor of his buddy Chris Whaley went down with a knee at West Virginia last week.
Well, yeah, Malcolm Brown gets into the backfield and makes a great tackle on Jeremy Smith, who was the presumed starter coming into the season. I mean, the guy has 33 career touchdowns, has been a fantastic backup and really finishing back for Oklahoma State ever since his freshman year. But when he got the featured job this year, has really struggled at the beginning of the season, is now moving back maybe into the role that he's more comfortable with as the finisher.
You saw Whaley with smiles. There's contact. Now flags come out right around the 45-yard line. Let's see who hit who. Bindum and Aitman. And we'll get the call.
There is no foul in the play for the defensive pass interference. Third down.
So that was a quick reversal in the sense of, was this ball catchable or not? And I think the answer is no.
Well, you know why I think they picked the flag up is because the defensive player has a right to the football. And Carrington Bindum didn't have his hands on the receiver. He wasn't holding him. He wasn't pulling him down. He was making a break on the ball. And therefore, the referees allowed him to make that break and play free. The defense has every right to the ball, just as the offense does while it's in the air.
Oh, this crowd's barking. Third down and 12. Listen in. Chelf keeps it. And he'll tuck and run it to the 37-yard line, but short of a first down. They'll bring up fourth down and a punting situation.
You know, that play call there, Craig, says a lot about the mindset of Oklahoma State. On third and long, they're comfortable punting. They don't want to force the ball, possibly give up another turnover. They're comfortable punting the ball back and putting their defense on the field.
Kip Smith punts it away, and a good high hanger. DeJay Johnson had it, dropped it, ball came out at the 4-yard line. Oh, dangerous play. Texas will start deep in their own territory at the 4 on Fox. Fox College Football is sponsored by the Lincoln Wish List event. Visit your Lincoln showroom today.
Okay, Craig, we saw Steve Edmond leave the game earlier with what looked to be a shoulder injury. Well, you know what? He's back, and he made a huge tackle here, getting off the block to help wrap up on Clint Chelf, who ran the ball for a touchdown on an earlier drive on third down, ran that same play for a touchdown. This time, Steve Edmond right there to make the tackle. Great job getting back into the ball game and making a key tackle for your defense.
Texas has not enjoyed good field position thus far in this first half. They'll start this drive at their own 4-yard line. They'll play it safe. Malcolm Brown maybe to the 5. Levy with the tackle. $100,000 on hand at Darrell Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. What a scene it is. McCoy flips it. That ball in the hands of Marcus Johnson.
Craig, we talked about it earlier. Oklahoma State made a great break on an earlier bubble screen, and you rely on the blocking of your wide receivers. There, Mike Davis has to choose, which guy do I block? And he chose the wrong one. Oklahoma State's nickelback came in and tried to blow that up. Mike Davis got caught in between the two. He just needs to make a decision and go with it to provide a solid block for his teammate.
Johnson didn't have very good footing as well, as you saw it slip out, and that play was blown up. Third down and long. Straight ahead. So Texas is going to go 3 and out. Malcolm Brown again with a carry, and Jimmy Bean made the initial hit. And now you're going to have to get a big punt off the foot of Anthony Farah. Joe, it's amazing when you watch football, just field position. So far, Texas has had very little breathing room in this game.
Well, yeah, and I like that call right there of running Malcolm Brown just to get a little bit of room from your punter. That's goal number 1 when you're backed up in your own end zone. But now does Oklahoma State miss Josh Stewart, who's taken 2 punts back for touchdowns now?
Went for the block, high hanger, fair catch. Glidden runs up on it at the 42-yard line. And Oklahoma State with the lead will have 5 field position after that 37-yard boot. Time for a game break. Let's check in with Patrick O'Neill.
All right, thanks a lot. Number 2, Florida State hosting Syracuse. A lot going on off the field for Jameis Winston. No issues on it. To Rashad Green, touchdown. A perfect 10 of 10 for Winston. FSU leading 28-0. Next week they host Idaho, and then they finish the year at Florida. Looking good for the Seminoles, Craig.
Patrick, absolutely just methodical play for Florida State, up by 4 touchdowns. Here at 7-3, Oklahoma State. On a swing, Jeremy Smith. And he's upended inside the 35-yard line by the strong safety, Adrian Phillips.
And what a nice call by the Oklahoma State offense there. Using Texas's defensive aggression against them. The defensive line had been getting a good rush. Cedric Reed, Jackson Jeffcoat coming hard off the edge. They said, fine, get into the backfield. We'll dump a screen right over the top of you. That's a way to soften up that defensive pressure.
You saw those numbers. Starting possession at the 32, Texas at their own 11. Oklahoma State has had great advantage. There's a hot slant on the hands. Tracy Moore, and he's inside the 25 of the 23-yard line. Tracy Moore against Kansas last week. 6 receptions, 77 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 and 11 yards. Cowboys marching down the field. Nice mix of run and pass. This time not much as Jackson Jeffcoat smothers Jeremy Smith.
Hey, Craig, that was a huge play by Jackson Jeffcoat. It may not have looked like it at the time, but Texas was having some issues with substitutions on the sideline there. They didn't have the right personnel in. Could have been a big play opportunity for Oklahoma State. Instead, Jackson Jeffcoat just with a tremendous individual effort making a tackle in the backfield.
Nearly halfway through the second quarter, 2nd down 11. Chelf on a play action, sets in the pocket, throws a dart across the middle, and it's caught at the 10. And a late flag is tossed into the pile. You know, when you see a couple of DNs, Reed and Jeffcoat on top of the QB, you're thinking probably roughing the passer.
Defense number 44. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
And the guess is right. It's whistled on Jeffcoat.
Well, how about Clint Chelf standing in and delivering a strike to his receiver on an in-cut? Nice route by Charlie Moore there, just breaking right in front of Quandre Diggs.
Rennie Childs checks in the Cowboy backfield. 1st and goal, just inside the 5-yard line. Chelf on a keeper. End zone, walks in. Touchdown, Cowboys, and Staley, the fullback, sealed the edge, and that was easy.
That was too easy, Craig. Texas is going to have to figure out a way to contain Clint Chelf.
You got to buy Kai Staley a steak after this block.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but, I mean, if you're looking at Oklahoma State to start the season, would you ever think that I would say that sentence? Somebody's going to have to figure out a way to contain the legs of Clint Chelf. I mean, this is just such an added wrinkle, something that people didn't expect from Oklahoma State, and has really made them a more explosive offense.
Grogan, freshman from Arlington, Texas, will try the PAT, and the chip shot is up and good. 5 plays, 42 yards. How about Chelf on a keeper? Runs it in, untouched, and the Cowboys up 11.
Hey, Craig, when you're defending the option, everybody has to take their responsibility. Jackson Jeffcoat's going to have the dive. And right here, Steve Edmond has to get outside and get the quarterback. Instead, he takes a sharp angle inside. Quandre Diggs is swallowed up by the fullback, and Clint Chelf is able to walk into the end zone. When you play an option team, everybody has to play their responsibility. Don't do somebody else's job, or you're going to end up giving up a big play.
32nd consecutive game, Joey, with a touchdown drive under 2 minutes. I feel like we're talking about Baylor. But Oklahoma State can move the football as well. Kicks away, up by a count of 14-3. And no return as it takes a bounce out of the end zone.
You know, it's an interesting point that you say you think of Baylor. This year, Oklahoma State, they're number 12 in the country. They're moving the ball just like they always have, scoring over 40 points a game, but nobody talks about them. They've quietly just kind of gone under the radar about their business. Defensively, no huge superstars, but creating turnovers. Offensively, no huge superstars, scoring points.
40 a game.
There you go.
I think Gundy, as we talked to him this week, he didn't mind flying under the radar. First 6 games since the change, just 123 yards on the ground. Today, Joey, already in this half, 118 rushing yards for Oklahoma State. That is a big number, and that's going to have to be a major adjustment by Greg Robinson at halftime.
Well, if they don't adjust quickly, they're going to end up getting worn down up front. We saw it last week against West Virginia, where you just pound and pound and pound, and by the end of the 3rd and 4th quarter, instead of giving up 3 and 4 yards a pop, you're giving up 7 and 8.
Texas picks up 5 on first down. Clock running up on 7 minutes before halftime. Down 14-3. Quick hitter off the left side and bouncing for a first down to Bergeron at the 36. You know, Chris Whaley out for the season with the knee. I was just going to ask you, how important is his departure with the success right now of Oklahoma State?
Well, you have to say it plays a huge part right now. I mean, Chris Whaley was a fantastic player. Not only he had an interception and a fumble return for a touchdown. I mean, this guy was an explosive defensive lineman. Texas is missing him right now.
Texas with a first down, trying to move the football before half. Little stutter step, then maybe 2 yards on a push to the 40-yard line. Nice run by Bergeron. Let's get a thought from Ryan Neese.
Craig and Joey, one of the things that we noticed is obviously the way Texas is playing against a run, and we talked about the absence of Chris Whaley, but it's their execution. They've got to do a better job executing what defense is called so they can shut down the run. Joe, you made a great point. It's about trust. It's about believing in one another to stop down that option, that read option that they're running on Oklahoma State side of the ball.
A good point, Ryan, as Texas keeps on the ground. Nice run, hopping, skipping, watch out. Still on his feet is Bergeron to the 40, call it the 39-yard line. Justin Gilbert try to take his legs out and finally does.
And I love watching Joe Bergeron run the ball, Craig. I mean, 6'1", 230 pounds. The guy was a fullback in high school. Texas had him come into their camp as a senior. The guy ran a 4.4 on the clock. They said, we might have somebody here. Let's give him a scholarship. And he's done nothing but produce for the Longhorns.
Just produced 21 yards on that run. First down, 39-yard line of Oklahoma State. Under 6 minutes left here in the first half. The only points produced is a 39-yard field goal off the foot of Farah for the Longhorns. Malcolm Brown takes a high, hard one. Sean Lewis hit him high and dropped him. Lewis is a hitter. I like the linebacking core for Oklahoma State. Levy in the middle. Sam, strong side is Lewis, and the Will, weak side is Simmons.
You know, they're just fantastic players. Like I said, there's no huge superstar, but if you look across the line, 68 tackles by Levy, 10 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions, 2.5 sacks. Lewis has 3 interceptions and 6 tackles for loss. They just do their job, and they do it well.
6th play of this drive, and it's the first pass on this drive to the 25-yard line. And a nice toss off the hand of McCoy to Davis.
And it was a really nice job of recognizing off coverage on his big play wide receiver, Mike Davis. Like we said, the coaches give Case McCoy a lot of leeway to throw that ball and get his team into the right play. Right there, corner was off. Simply take 7 yards and move on to your next play.
Ball control, not an issue. Both teams have had it over nearly 11 minutes for Oklahoma State, over 13 for Texas, and they're driving here late in the second quarter. McCoy slingshots it across the middle, right on the hands of Davis. You know, he has played so much better since coming off that ankle sprain. He trusts that cut, that plant foot, beautiful pass and a big catch down inside the 15-yard line.
Well, Justin Gilbert had him in press coverage to start, but bailed out, giving Mike Davis the room to run that slant.
McCoy, almost a busted play. He makes something out of nothing as he flips that ball into the hands of Marcus Johnson. Daquan Lowe with the tackle.
Again, Oklahoma State's corner tries to crash that bubble screen. Right there, coming on the hard blitz. The wide receiver has to get his hands on him to free up the bubble screen. Very nice job by Case McCoy not throwing the ball into a dangerous situation.
Showed a lot of patience to hold on to that ball, and he got Marcus Johnson the football. Second down and long, shotgun. McCoy hands it off. Malcolm Brown rumbling inside the 10. Mark him at the 7-yard line. Malcolm Brown, 225-pounder. We talked about Jonathan Gray's injury last week, the Achilles. against West Virginia and the load he's had to carry along with Bergeron. He gets a call again, stumbles in, touchdown, Texas.
Craig, and that was nothing but smash mouth football and play action off of it. Texas came back. Texas came back and said, I'm going to run the ball down the throat of Oklahoma State. And you know what? You need to line up and try and stop me.
Now Farah with the PAT. Try to cut it to a 4-point game, and it's up and good. Texas showing some high-octane offense on that drive. Malcolm Brown goes the final 7 yards. Late here in the second quarter, Cowboys up 4. Fox College Football is sponsored by Pizza Hut. Prep for game online for Pizza Hut. Make it great. By the Samsung Galaxy Note 3 and Galaxy Gear. And by ADT, always there. (14-10) Oklahoma State. 10 plays, Joey, 75 yards. That's the 4th consecutive game that Malcolm Brown has scored a touchdown.
Well, they just grounded out.
Yeah.
Joe Bergeron started the drive. Malcolm Brown finished it up. They spliced in a few little passes to Mike Davis. Tried to hit a bubble screen. You know what I love is there was just a controlled drive. There was no panic. Oklahoma State dropped a touchdown on them. They just came right back, stuck with their game plan. What they're doing is they're setting things up for later in the game. No big play attempts right now. Just chunk, chunk, chunk.
Ball takes a big bounce, 15-yard line. Roland has it. And he will push the ball back about the 34-yard line. Good field position for the Cowboys. Let's get out to Rob Stone in L.A.
Coming up on the Pizza Hut halftime show, number 3 Ohio State sought their 22nd straight win against a feisty Illinois side, and high drama as one-win Temple sought to ruin UCF's BCS hopes. That game also delivered an insane catch worthy of our Pizza Hut play of the day.
All right, thank you, Rob. We'll be tuned in. Halftime just 3:33 away, and this Texas crowd has come alive after that touchdown by Brown. Now let's see what the Longhorn defense can come up with. Chelf has had his way running through the Longhorn secondary. He'll drop back to pass, 25, sets his feet, fires a dart. It's on the hands of Charlie Moore. And Moore wiggles his way past the 45 to the 43-yard line.
And I love the route by Charlie Moore. When he made his in-cut, a lot of wide receivers have a tendency to drift up the field, allowing the secondary player to cut in front of him. Instead, he made his cut, came straight down the line of scrimmage, or excuse me, down the line, even came back a little bit to make sure to secure the completion.
Picked up 24 yards. Cowboys right to the heart and soul of Texas's front. Roland hit by Jeffcoat. The clock is under 3 minutes here in half number 1. Oklahoma State on the road, Joey, maybe a surprise. I saw 2 3-point favorites in this game against a red-hot Texas team, winning 6 in a row. Oklahoma State hot themselves with 5 straight. Second down 7. Little delay. Texas read it perfectly, and Desmond Jackson made the initial hit in the backfield. Adrian Phillips also there, the strong safety, number 17.
Well, they made that play in the backfield because of the pressure right up the middle. Texas's D-line was able to get into the backfield, allowing Adrian Phillips to kind of contain things, force the running back right into those D linemen.
See Roland with 7 carries for 40 yards. Oklahoma State 3 of 5 on third down conversions here in this first half. Speaking of threes, 3 wides near side as Chelf pedals back. Stands, dances, and throws. That ball is up for grabs, taken down. Jawan Seals somehow, Joey, gets behind the backers in the secondary and is wide open at the 10.
Well, there was a miscommunication there between Quandre Diggs and Michael Thompson. A little out and up, a wheel route. Quandre Diggs took him into the flat, thought he had him. That was his responsibility. Instead, Seals turns up the sidelines, and Quandre Diggs needed to follow him up the sideline.
Came in with 26 catches, his second here in the first half. They hit the edge. Rowland. Texas runs him down at the 12, couple of the 13-yard line by Edmond. Number 33, as you mentioned, shaken earlier in this ball game, back on the field. He had 12 tackles last week at West Virginia. You look at the timeouts, Oklahoma State with 3. Texas had to burn a timeout early. They've got 2 remaining as this first half clock is winding down. Chelf takes the pitch once the end zone, stands patient up top. Touchdown, Oklahoma State, through the hands of Phillips, and Tracy Moore grabs it for his 5th of the year.
I'm speechless right now. That was an interception. That literally went through the hands of Adrian Phillips. Watch this, plays the route beautifully, just goes right through his hands, and what a catch by Tracy Moore. What concentration to come up with that touchdown grab and keep his feet in bounds. Wow.
Could that be the one for Fox Live?
Yeah, that Central Florida play, that's pretty good.
I'm going to put it in the mix. What a grab. I thought Phillips had it dead to right, through his hands, and the catch. And Oklahoma State has stunned his hometown crowd as a PAT is up and good. And Joey, just before half, Oklahoma State finds the end zone. Here it is. And the grab pulled down. Tracy Moore for 6, 21-10 Cowboys. (21-10) Oklahoma State strikes just before half. 6 plays. And again, another quick strike drive, just over 2 minutes, Joey, and this crowd has been taken out of this game thus far.
Yeah, just as you thought Texas's crowd and Texas's offense and the momentum was building, Oklahoma State marches right down the field and puts in a touchdown. I mean, it's been a very kind of quiet Oklahoma State offensive year. They just kind of go about their business, and there's nothing flashy about that drive. They just ran the ball, threw a couple bubble screens, threw an in cut, and all of a sudden you find yourself in the end zone. I mean, it's just a very, I don't want to say simple, but it's just a very methodical offensive system.
I think you'll agree, Chelf, the MVP in this first half. Texas will take a knee. Chelf on that drive, 3 for 3, 65 yards. What a half, Ryan Neese.
Craig and Joe, it is what an unbelievable half. Now, all of a sudden, the momentum's back on Oklahoma State's side. Texas's offense has another opportunity to recapture it. They did a great job in that last drive, that last possession. They drove the length of the field. They were able to get a touchdown. How can they use this last 1 minute and 15 seconds on the clock to put points on the board?
Good point, Ryan. Also, don't forget, Texas will have the ball to start the second half.
Well, yeah, and that was going to be my point. I'm interested to see how they use this minute and a half. Are they going to try and stretch the field? Are they going to get more aggressive? We've seen Texas stay within their game plan no matter what the situation up to this point in the game.
McCoy, shotgun, play action, quick toss near side. Just pitch and catch and trying to reach out is Kendall Sanders. Justin Gilbert with the tackle. Coming up, our Pizza Hut halftime show here on Fox. Stay tuned as we hit the minute mark. Malcolm Brown upended at the 32. What a tackle by Tyler Johnson.
And that was a key tackle right there because Malcolm Brown.
And Texas is going to use a timeout.
Well, that's going to be my point. If he gets loose and makes that first down, the stop clocks, and Texas can all of a sudden get the wheels moving. They're back on the line of scrimmage. Instead, they have to burn a timeout. That was a key play by Tyler Johnson.
How much, I mean, as you mentioned, Malcolm Brown, Joe Bergeron. I mean, this is a deep backfield for Texas, but how much did they miss Jonathan Gray, who was injured with that Achilles last week at West Virginia?
You know, I'm not sure. I don't know. You've seen Joe Bergeron come on and really give Texas offense a spark on that last drive. The depth Texas has at running back is pretty exceptional. There aren't many teams in the country that can plug in any one of 3 running backs and really maintain the same production. Jonathan Gray was an explosive player, and there was a reason that he was the #1 back for Texas. But Joe Bergeron, as we've seen over the last 3 seasons, is an ample fill-in.
Backfield empty. McCoy stands alone on 3rd down and 3. McCoy, quick hit a slant, nice cut. Guess who he goes to when you need that big first down? You move the sticks. It's Jackson Shipley.
What, 32 of 48 catches now? I mean, all he does is get first downs. And all Case McCoy does is look for him on third down.
Fresh downs at the 42, whistle stop play. Got a flag on the far side.
False start. Offense number 1. The player never got set prior to the snap. The clock was running, therefore it requires a 10-second runoff. Please set the game clock to 30 seconds. We'll wind it on my signal.
So you lose 10 after Davis lines up. Never got set. And now McCoy slings it near side, picked. Gilbert streaking, high steps it into the end zone. Oh my, what a play down the stretch here in half number 1. Gilbert with his 5th interception and runs this one back 43 yards.
And we talked about it in the open, Craig. Oklahoma State has scored twice on punt returns, once on a kick return, once on a fumble return, and now twice on interceptions for touchdowns. Justin Gilbert, this is his 2nd one of the season, bringing his first back against Iowa State. That was a huge mistake by Case McCoy, and one that they could not afford to make going into halftime.
Kendall Sanders, the intended receiver. Gilbert reached out and raced it in from 43. And put a little exclamation mark on that touchdown with the high step into the end zone. The PAT is up and good. And just like that, in the final seconds of this first half, Oklahoma State has busted this game open by 18.
Well, we talked about momentum. Texas gained it back by driving down the field and punching it in for a touchdown. Oklahoma State got it right back by doing the same. You thought Texas had a chance to shore things up going into halftime. Instead, they give up a huge play to Justin Gilbert here. What a fantastic play. I mean, really just sat on the route, drove it, caught the ball, and took it straight in with just speed. I mean, this guy's not only a great corner, but a great kick returner. He's an athlete. This guy is an athlete, and every time he has the ball in his hands, he's a threat to go the distance.
Well, this graphic tells you how Oklahoma State plays the game. They take the ball away from you. They give ample opportunity to their offense. They find the end zone on the defensive end. It's the 2nd most takeaways in the FBS since '09. Number 1 is Oregon. Gilbert has put a hush on 100,000 Texas fans.
Oklahoma State takes their first time out of the half. 30 seconds in duration.
Hey, Craig, let's take a look at this interception for a touchdown. Justin Gilbert does a really nice job here of sitting on the route. And what they've done this game so far is mix up. It's called quarters coverage or cover 4 and cover 2. It looks very similar, and sometimes Justin Gilbert is backing up and playing a quarter of the field, and sometimes he's sitting up and playing the flat because he knows that he has help from his safety over the top. That time, Case McCoy just got confused between the two. Justin Gilbert was playing cover 2, knowing that he had help over the top. Case McCoy thought he was playing cover 4 and that he had to continue sinking. Threw the ball to the wrong place at the wrong time.
Joey, 18th consecutive game now with a takeaway for Oklahoma State. And getting back to Case McCoy, just threw his 7th interception. This young man's been playing with a lot of confidence of late, and he's going to have to rally this team big time in the second half at home.
That's exactly what he wants to do. You know, Case McCoy has that attitude. He has that moxie. If there's anybody in the country who's going to do it, it's going to be Case. Chip
shot to the 30. And on a knee, that's where Texas will have it with 18 seconds remaining. Well, victims of the typhoon in the Philippines urgently need your help. With your support, the American Red Cross is distributing relief items, repairing and rebuilding shelters, providing health care, clean water, sanitation to help victims of the typhoon. Please donate to Red Cross Disaster Relief today. You can visit redcross.org or Texas Red Cross, or you can text to Red Cross 90999 to give a $10 donation. That's just devastation in the Philippines. Texas, Bergeron. That ball came out and then taken back. They'll be second down. Well, Texas right now is just kind of fluttering on disaster.
Well, there's a reason Joe Bergeron didn't see the ball at the last few games. He fumbled against Iowa State, fumbled against Oklahoma, and again fumbled there.
And Bergeron shaken up on that final play of the half. McCoy's got work to do. Cowboys come in. Not a lot of fanfare with Oklahoma State, but they have put on a show. Chelf and company have opened up a 28-10 lead, and that Gilbert interception has really topped things off here in the first half. Let's go downstairs. Here's Ryan.
Hey, Coach. Case McCoy throws a late interception in that second quarter for a touchdown. What was the message to him when he came to the sidelines?
We got to keep playing, Ryan. This team's had trouble all year. We slipped on the first kickoff and gave them great field position. We had them backed up here and let them go out to midfield, and then they punt to us. We drop it down at the 2. So that's hurt us in field position. We haven't stopped the option. We haven't stopped the quarterback draw. We've run the ball well. We haven't passed it consistently. So we're not out of the football game, but they're a good team. We put ourselves in trouble here. We get the ball to start the second half. We got to keep playing.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
All right, thank you, Ryan. It's halftime here in Austin, 28-10, Oklahoma State. We now go to Rob Stone, Eddie George, Joel Klatt in L.A. for the Pizza Hut halftime report.
When the kingdom comes, he puts his records on, and with his blistered thumb his play. And with the volume up, he goes and fills his cup and lets the drummer's drum take away the pain breaking.
And a big welcome back to Fox College Football, presented by Kay Jewelers. And here in Austin, Texas, the visiting Cowboys of Oklahoma State leading the Longhorns 28-10, just moments away from the second half. Craig Bowerjack along with Joey Harrington. This crowd was shocked in the final minute of play, really, Joey. You got an offensive touchdown, you got a defensive pick six, and all of a sudden this game just got away.
Well, that was the huge momentum turner right before halftime, but it's been the play of quarterback Clint Chelf that has really set up everything for Oklahoma State. You heard Mac Brown say it going into the half. We didn't stop the option. We didn't stop the quarterback draw, and because of that, Clint Chelf's play has set up everybody else. I mean, he's been running the ball up the middle, on the edges, and because of that, he's been able to throw it 9 of 13 for 132 yards, and he's spreading it around to everybody. Seals has 2 catches. Roland has a couple catches. Both Moores have a couple catches. Roland has run the ball for nearly 50 yards, and everybody's getting into the mix because of the way that Clint Chelf ran the football to start this game.
Now you add those two numbers together, you get 207 yards of total offense. And I think the big surprise, Joey, as you mentioned, his run ability in the first half. Texas will get it to start the third. They're down 28-10. Longhorns are going to bring it out. My goodness, stacked up 6-yard line. First half stats presented by Kay Jewelers. What jumps out?
Well, the rush yards for Oklahoma State. Texas has only given up 123 a game over their 6-game winning streak. They've already given up 120 in the first half. They must figure out a way to stop the running game for Oklahoma State. And if you're Texas right now, you got to score on this drive. I mean, there are very few times at the start of the third quarter you say that there's a must score, but they cannot afford to continue to give Oklahoma State the momentum here. They got to get points on the board.
And once again, Texas with less than ideal field position. This drive starts at the 6-yard line, and they just stay straight ahead. Methodical football with Malcolm Brown. And again, Joey, I think it's important to state, you're not going to probably vary off your game plan on the first series of third.
No, you don't need to. I mean, the reason that they're down 28-10 is because they give up a pick 6 right there before the half. But you saw it on their last drive prior to that. They methodically marched the ball down the field. Bergeron, Brown finishing it off, throwing the ball to Shipley, to Davis. They have the talent to do it. They just need to stick with their game plan.
Second down 8, Malcolm Brown alongside McCoy. Throws far side, pitch and catch on the hands of Shipley. And he moves the ball up inside the 15, call it the 14-yard line. Sean Lewis with the tackle. Got some help from Datewan Lowe, the free safety.
Well, it was a great block by Marcus Johnson there. We talked about it in the first half. The wide receiver's ability to block on the bubble screen, and Marcus Johnson's block allowed Jackson Shipley to get up inside.
This is an early big third down here in the quarter. McCoy slingshots it, escapes, and then that ball's incomplete. Is there a flag out?
Yes,
yeah,
there
couple.
is. And that's the right call, Craig. That's the right call.
Unprotected player took a couple of shots, and that player was Davis, Mike Davis.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 8, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Now Datewan Lowe hit the defenseless receiver, Mike Davis.
Well, the ball was a little bit behind him. Mike had to come up with a tough catch, but oh boy, Craig. Datewan Lowe is lucky that they didn't call a targeting foul. Well, from that view, it looks a little bit different, but it was definitely a late hit. Mike Davis had dropped the ball. The play was over.
1st and 10, Texas, 29-yard line. McCoy play action, has man coverage up top, and on the far side of the field, what a grab. Davis, who just had his house rocked, comes back with a big grab and beats Gilbert on the edge.
And I love the play call by Major Applewhite after a big penalty, coming back, taking a shot down the field to your playmaker. Fantastic throw and catch by Case McCoy and Mike Davis, but great call by Major Applewhite.
41 yards on that reception. A slingshot throw, far side again. Davis on the receiving end, and Gilbert. They're picking on Gilbert right now.
Well, you know what? I love that they came back to him again on a hitch route right there. That last play, they hit him deep. The corner's going to play a little bit softer. This time, he just run up and take a 6-yard hitch. Great play call, great decision by Case McCoy.
And a pickup of 8, 2nd down, 2. Not much, if any. As Sean Lewis stuffed the middle, Malcolm Brown had very little room to run. Let's go downstairs and check in with Ryan.
Craig and Joey, that was a great job by Texas's offense to get going. And all of a sudden now they understand how to deal with adversity. This is Mack Brown. He's dealt with adversity all year long. You've got to be impressed with their ability to handle that.
Well, especially, Ryan, if they can punch it in for 6 here on the opening drive. McCoy in the pocket feels the pressure. Again, middle of the field on the hands of Shipley. Shipley bails out McCoy again. 1st down, 12-yard line.
3rd down, who's he go to? Jackson Shipley sat in the pocket, may have missed Mike Davis here a little bit. He was sitting on a little, what we call it a sit route. Instead, Case goes through his progression, finds his guy coming across the middle, Jackson Shipley for a 1st down.
Quick throw, near side on the hands of Marcus Johnson. Yeah, adversity is nothing new to Mack Brown. I mean, after the loss to Brigham Young and the 500 and some odd yards of rushing offense allowed, I mean, Mack Brown's been through it all, and this Texas team.
Well, yeah, in 16 years at Texas, you're going to go through a few bumps. But I love the fact, I love what he said. He said, I'm prepared to deal with it now. You know what? I've been through it all, and he is setting the example for his team. Look, it's been a tough year. You can't deny that, but Mack Brown has handled himself with class.
Straight ahead goes Brown. They'll mark him at the 10-yard line. Oh, bring up 3rd down. 1st down is available, Joey, right in outside the 2-yard line. There's Mack Brown, 16th year. National championship with Vince Young at the helm back in '05. As he told us many times this year, Austin is like living in a pro city. I mean, we are the pro team of Austin.
Well, yeah, and they expect it. They expect winning, they expect results, and they expect it every single year.
3 wide receivers up high. Empty backfield as McCoy goes to work on 3rd down. 2-step drop over the middle. Ball was on the hands of the sure-handed Shipley. Dropped it, took a pop. And that brings up 4th down.
Oh, and you saw Jackson Shipley was mad at himself right there. He knew he had a chance. That ball was just a little bit outside of his reach. But any good receiver thinks that anytime they get their hands on the ball, they can make a catch. Would have been a tough catch in traffic for Jackson. But you know he thought that he could make that one.
So now this will be a 27-yard field goal attempt by Farah. And it's up and good. So Texas gets 3 on their opening drive in the 2nd half. 11:18 left. 3rd quarter in Austin. Fox College Football is sponsored by K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by AT&T, rethink possible. Now that field goal, I know it's a field goal, but it got this crowd riled up a bit. Texas gets 3 on their opening drive.
Well, those are big points. Those are big points for Texas. Now what they need to do is they need to come up with a defensive stop. They have to somehow figure out a way to stop the option. Everybody play their responsibility. Don't do somebody else's job, and then figure out a way to get off the field on third down. If they can do that, they can bring these 98,000 fans back into this ballgame.
Kicks up out of the end zone. So Clint Chelf will go back to work with a 28-13 lead.
And Craig, with the exception of that interception he threw there in the end zone, he played a fantastic first half.
I mean, I think the word is solid. I mean, he ran the ball extremely well. I think he really surprised Texas defensively with his legs. He was effective with his arm as well.
Well, I think everybody, including Texas, expected to get a heavy dose of Desmond Rowland, but instead it was Clint Chelf who came out toting the rock on that first drive, and he's facilitated everybody else from that point on.
Tracy Moore, the motion man, on 1st and 10 as this drive starts at the 25-yard line. Handoff straight away, 2 yards for Rowland, and he's wrestled down by Jeffcoat. That's one tough dude there.
Ryan Neese could take it.
Say on this drive, you're going to probably see what type of changes. They talked about at halftime, Greg Robinson, the D coordinator, as Chelf throws to the near side. Moore makes the tackle or the catch, and then tackled down at the 35 by Duke Thomas. So what kind of adjustments? Well, you got to make tackles, obviously.
Well, we're going to see the adjustment right now. 3rd and short. I'm betting they're going right up the gut. If I was Oklahoma State, I'd be going right where Chris Whaley vacated that gap last week.
That means Malcolm Brown, Desmond Jackson are going to be challenged. You made the call up the middle and squirting through for the first down. They'll mark him at the 39 is Rowland. And they did go right to the heart of the front of Texas. Edmond, the weak side backer with a stop. Fresh downs right at the 38-yard line. Chelf pedals, throws. Charlie Moore with the catch near midfield. He went through his progression, I thought, very well, Joey, as he looked to the right, looked to the middle, and then came near side.
Exactly. What they tried to do is run a little play action. They called it a pop pass. And Tracy Moore, who's such a great blocker, goes in there, pretends to block. They give the play action hard to get a linebacker to suck up, try and drop it over the top. Instead, the safety drove it, and Clint Chelf saw it, did a nice job coming backside to a secondary receiver. Great read.
Another quick toss, near side, nothing fancy. Charlie Moore, they're picking apart Texas. 5 catches now for Charlie Moore at the 45 of Texas.
And there's nothing fancy about what Oklahoma State is doing right now, but it's demoralizing. It is so frustrating to a defense to simply give up chunk after chunk after chunk and realize that there's nothing you can do about it.
They give up 7. Now it's 2nd down short. Chelf shotgun. Throws on the run, throws it out to the fullback Seaton. That may be a surprise, but Seaton, number 44, that's his 6th reception of the season. He's caught a couple of touchdowns, and he flies outside for the catch and another first down.
One of those great ball placement by Clint Chelf, putting the ball right out in front of his fullback, not stopping him because he had a defender on his back. Great job of letting him run with the ball.
Chelf now on a keeper, hits the edge. Texas really off balance defensively, and Seaton was out there throwing the block, and Chelf big yards again as we saw in the first half. Oklahoma State, I'm sorry, Ryan, Oklahoma State, you don't know who's touching the football if you're playing Texas defense.
You don't. You made a great point. They're off balance right now. They're going to have to settle down. They need somebody on this defense to rise up, be an emotional leader, and make a play. That's the only way they get back and settle things down defensively. They got us do it right here on this play. One of these plays coming up.
Chelf with first down at the 21. Outside throw caught by Marcel Aitman, the freshman out of Dallas, Texas. Guarantee you this game means a lot for anybody who's playing Oklahoma State who comes from the state of Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Ryan, I saw Carrington bind him there, bluff like he was going to come off the corner there. Could you bring corners? Could you bring safeties to try and stop this Oklahoma State offense?
That's a great plan, Joey, but at the same time, the ball's coming out of Clint's hands so quickly, they're not able to get pressure. They got to just do a good job tackling an open field and find a way to create a turnover. You don't see a sense of urgency.
Moore goes in motion. On the ground. Rowland cannot hit the edge. And there's the play this crowd was wanting. And they stop and drive. Rowland back. Shiro Davis with the big play back at the 23.
And watch him here. Shiro Davis, the defensive end position, just string it out, string it out, string it out. Allow his teammates to get there. But you know what? He doesn't need his teammates because he fights off the block and makes the tackle himself. Fantastic individual effort.
Big play. 3rd down 11 as the clock is under 8 minutes here in the 3rd. Chelf. Incomplete. 4th down.
Well, that's what you needed to do if you were Texas. It took a little bit too long and allowed Oklahoma State to get into field goal range, but you got off the field on 3rd down.
And now field goal attempt for Ben Grogan. He's had struggles. He's settled down over the last couple of weeks. 8 of 14 from field goals. And this will be a 39-yard attempt. Good from 39. So Texas and Oklahoma State trade early field goals. 31-13 Cowboys. Fox College Football is sponsored by Hyundai. New thinking, new possibilities.
Hey, Craig, Ryan made a great point on that last drive. Texas is going to have to get aggressive. Look at this. Everybody up in the box. They're bringing pressure, leaving their corners out on an island. But you know why they're doing it? Because they have to make a play. Ryan said they can't keep sitting on their heels. They have to get aggressive, take a couple chances, create a turnover. I like the call by Greg Robinson. Maybe he was listening to Ryan Neese earlier.
Exchanging notes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Ryan, you got a line into Greg's ear there?
Hey, I just like the play call. Like you said, Joey, being aggressive is something they have to do in the 2nd half.
Going to bring it out. Dejae Johnson. Field position, Joey, been a real issue for Texas, and they're back inside their own 20-yard line. Don't forget, Fox tomorrow, the next evolution of cop drama is here. Don't miss a groundbreaking show that has critics raving almost human. The 2-night premiere starts tomorrow at 8, 7 Central, right here on Fox.
Well, Craig, Ryan mentioned about the defense getting aggressive. Texas's offense got a little aggressive after that penalty. Remember the unnecessary roughness? The very next play, they went deep to Mike Davis. They're going to have to adjust things as we get later and later into this ball game as well.
On the edge goes Brown.
Or they could just run the ball for 11 yards a pop.
11 a pop isn't bad, right? 30-yard line, 1st down. Just like that, you move the chains as Gilbert brought him down. The field position, Joey, I think has been a real big sidebar story to this game. Oklahoma State starting on their own 31. Texas averaging at their own 15.
Well, yeah, starting inside their own 20 is a huge disadvantage. Coach Mack Brown addressed it.
McCoy goes deep, hangs it up, and it falls incomplete.
Craig,
you got Davis out there way up top.
I was saying that Coach Brown addressed it going into halftime. Dejae Johnson fumbling that or muffing the punt inside his own 10-yard line. There's been 2 or 3 times they've started inside their own 5, and that is such a deep hole to dig out of. It is so difficult to march 90 yards down the field. And when you only have to go 69, 70 yards like Oklahoma State has been doing, it puts them at a huge advantage.
2nd down and 10 for Case McCoy. Handoff, and a Cowboy was in the backfield just as the handoff was made. Sam Wren, first time we barked out his name tonight. 89, number 89, 255-pound DN in relief of Tyler Johnson.
Well, this is just a great individual effort, splitting the block by the Texas offensive lineman. This puts Texas in a tough position. 3rd and 14 is such a different play call than 3rd and 8 or 9.
Cowboys showed blitz. Long snap count. McCoy feels pressure from the edge, steps up, throws underneath. That's what Oklahoma State was hoping for. They gave up just a few yards. Lindell Johnson made the tackle on Brown as they had to go underneath. They pick up 3, and Texas is going to punt the ball away.
That's exactly what Oklahoma State wanted Texas to do. They dropped 8 into coverage, kept everything in front of them, and forced Case McCoy to dump it down to his running back, then gathered for the tackle.
Pressure coming, punts away, and a good one. Glidden. Ball came out, 17-yard line. And remember, the fine punt returner out with injury, Josh Stewart, did not make the trip to Austin. When we come back, what a day it's been for Clint Chelf. He'll be under center with the Cowboys when we come back.
Hey, Craig, when Sam Wren made that big tackle to put Texas in 3rd and long, it allowed Oklahoma State to drop 8 players into coverage. What does it do? Case McCoy drops back. He looks down the field, nothing. And he ends up dropping it down in front of everybody. Malcolm Brown takes it, and the Oklahoma State defense rallies to make the tackle before he gets to the 1st down line.
Great illustration. Oklahoma State. Texas fell right into their pocket as they give the ball to Childs, the freshman. And we check in with what Oklahoma State defensively. Not just taking a rest. They look calm, collected. As Chelf has done a magnificent job today. Joe, he has gone with 7 different receivers. He's hit 11 of his last 12 for 135 yards. He's also ran for nearly 90.
He's been magnificent today, Craig.
Quick toss near side, dropped. Caleb Moncrief, number 2, the intended receiver on the near side.
All right, Craig, here you go, 3rd and 9. These are the situations that Texas's defense has to take advantage of. If you're going to get back into this ball game, you must make a stop right now and force Oklahoma State to punt.
Crowd knows it. Under 5 minutes left, 3rd quarter. Chelf on a keeper. This time, Texas was ready for the legs of Chelf up front. Desmond Jackson, Bindum, also got some help from Edmond.
And a great job again. Coach Robinson drawing up an aggressive play call. Ryan talked about it a moment ago. Deep in the red zone, they brought all blitz. Here again, they bring what's called cover 0. They rushed everybody, forcing Clint Chelf to get the ball out of his hands if he's throwing it, and having an extra guy there to make a tackle if he's running it.
Pressure came. Kip Smith gets the punt away. Shipley flags out. Shipley to the sideline, out of bounds at the 46, but a flag's back at the 10. Texas brought the house.
Personal foul. Roughing the kicker. Number 42. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. 1st down.
Wow. That's a killer, Craig.
Texas was just that close as you see the run in. And there's no question on that flag. Just took away the best field position of the day for the Longhorns.
That's the definition of shooting yourself in the foot. And it's the right call. You got to give the punter room to come down. He was underneath him before the punter even set his foot on the field. And what was a tremendous effort by Texas's defense getting off the field on 3rd and down, 3rd and 9 has now been completely negated.
You know, it's so hard to stop momentum.
Yeah, it is.
A couple of Longhorns just roll over the top and take out the legs of Smith.
Well, his job is to blow up that wedge there.
And he did such a good job of blowing it up that he ran right into the kicker. It's a tough, aggressive foul, but it's the right call.
And you put Oklahoma State back on the field, fresh downs at their own 34-yard line. Chelf, shotgun, quick toss far side. Jawan Seals throws out a stiff arm and picks up a couple of extra yards, make it 2nd and 2. Clock runs on here in Austin. Rowland stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Desmond Jackson, nice tackle. Time now for a Lowe's Never Stop Improving game break. Let's check in with Patrick.
And let's take you to Eugene, Utah, taking on number 6 Oregon. First time these two have met as Pac-12 opponents. Marcus Mariota to Josh Huff for the touchdown. They're about to start the 3rd quarter with the Ducks leading Utah 17-7. Craig and Joey, back to you.
Thank you, Patrick. Kind of expected, Joe, you and I were talking about Mariota, how he would respond after the loss, and he's put 17 up. Again, straight away goes Rowland, and again tackled by the front of Reed, Jeff Coat, Brown, and Jackson. 4th down.
Great job responding to adversity. Coach Mack Brown has addressed it all year, said this team has responded to adversity in on the field, off the field, right there. You got off the field on 3rd and 9, but gave it back to Oklahoma State on the penalty. Now 3rd and 2, you bow up and stop Oklahoma State right up the middle, which is where they've been gashing you all day. Texas's defense made some adjustments at halftime. You got to be proud about that. Now it's time to take it down the field if you're on offense.
Again, Kip Smith to punt. Fair catch taken by Quandre Diggs. And Texas again will start inside their own 20-yard line. 2:30 left, 3rd quarter in Austin.
My name is Ted Heaton, Texas fan for over 50 years. My parents would buy me a knothole section ticket for $25. I've seen 4 national championships. I've seen all the greats. Nobis, Street, Ricky, Vince. But my favorite Longhorn is Earl Campbell. Before every game we tailgate, party, grill, it's always a good time. Hook 'em horns.
Oh, Ted Heaton, there he is in the crowd trying to bring the Longhorns back. Super fan. And Texas, Joey, will start this drive again inside their own 20. Down 31-13, 2.5 to play here in the 3rd quarter. They're going to go out with Johnson. Bajay breaks a tackle. Flags. 1, 2, 3 of them on that pop by Datewan Lowe. He's been involved with some pretty big hits today.
Yeah, he is. And if Ted Heaton and his super fans are going to get back into it.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 8, 15-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
If the fans are going to get back into it and help this Texas offense, that's the type of penalty that can do it. You hear him right now starting to get riled up. If Texas offense can take advantage of this crowd noise, of the momentum, they can get themselves back into the ballgame.
100,000 all dressed in burnt orange. Fresh down to the 40-yard line for McCoy. Stands, slings it across the middle, picked off. Levy on his feet to the 20-yard line. McCoy tosses a pick for the 2nd time, and Caleb Levy, the middle linebacker, with his 4th interception of the season.
25 takeaways now for this Oklahoma State defense. 2 years ago in 2011, they led the country with 44 takeaways, and that's what helped spur them on to the Fiesta Bowl and their run at the national championship. This year, they're leading the Big 12 in turnover margin at almost 1.5, plus 1.5 a game. Like we said earlier, there's no huge stars. Everybody just contributes. Everybody does their job, and they just come up with big plays at big opportunities.
Well, Levy, I don't think McCoy ever saw the middle linebacker. Kind of spying, hiding, reached up, took that football, and now Oklahoma State can try to bust this game open at the 21-yard line of Texas. Chelf. All day to throw. Man coverage up top. There's a flag out. The catch made. Charlie Moore for the moment with a touchdown. There was contact inside the 5.
Well, Craig, I think you're going to see a pass interference call here and the touchdown stand because the receiver was forced out of bounds. Let's see what they say.
Pass interference. Defense number 21. That penalty's declined. He forced the receiver out of bounds, came back in and made the catch for a touchdown.
That's exactly what we saw, Craig. In college football, if the DB forces the receiver out of bounds, he can come back in and make the catch. He does not have to reestablish position like he does in the NFL. He can simply come back in and make the catch if he's pushed out. If he goes out on his own, he cannot come back in. But right there, Moore was pushed out by the defender. Great recognition, great throw and catch.
PAT is up and good. So the turnover bites Texas on the first play. Touchdown Cowboys. Charlie Moore bumped out of bounds, came back in. Joe, you called it perfectly right. He was able to get back in bounds, make the touchdown, and put another 7 on the board. I tell you, Chelf today has played flawless football.
He really
except
has.
for the pick.
With the exception of that one play in the first half. But he's played so well in every other area that it completely made up for it. And like Oklahoma State has done all year, their defense just rises to the occasion. Everybody on defense has contributed today, and that's what this Oklahoma State defense has done all year long. They share the credit, they share the turnovers, they share everything. They just play great as a unit.
Oklahoma State less than 17 minutes away from their 6th consecutive win, and they're going to be a major player in Big 12 for the run to the title. Short kick, 2-yard line. Marcus Johnson, and Texas finally passed their own 20 to the 25 on that return. So we came in with Texas being the hot team in the Big 12. Joey, 6 straight conference wins, 7-2 overall. Baylor plays later here on Fox. Oklahoma State, their lone loss, I mean, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, it is.
It was at West Virginia, but they've ripped off 5 in a row, 8-1 overall, and a number 12 ranking.
Well, each of these 3 teams has the ability to win the Big 12 championship, but they have to go out and do it on the field, and Oklahoma State is doing it right now.
Yeah, stay tuned. Texas Tech, Baylor, 5th rank coming up next on Fox. Big day of Big 12 football. Malcolm Brown stood up after maybe a gain of 1. Well, there's a discussion on how it all happened.
Okay, we've talked in this third quarter about how Texas can stick to their game plan. I think right about now is where you need to start stretching the field. You need to start thinking outside the box and pushing this ball down the field a little bit to try and create some big plays.
McCoy pressured, throws underneath. Bergeron, open field. Cartwheel down at the 36-yard line. First down, Texas. Lindell Johnson with the stop.
I love the call, Craig. I love the call there. You can see Oklahoma State's defense starting to get a little aggressive, starting to pin their ears back and come. What do? You soften them up with a screen. Great play call.
3 wide receivers, top of your screen, play action. McCoy wants a deep ball up top. He's been picked twice. That ball's in the hands. Yes, intercepted. Gilbert for the 2nd time today.
Craig, that is Gilbert's 11th career interception, and he may have gotten hurt there.
Holding his right hand, the left hand or left shoulder, and he's taking the helmet off. Pointed to his shoulder. Trainers are on the field. McCoy with his 3rd pick in this game. And the crowd, much of this crowd is turning and heading to the exits with still a 4th quarter to come. Took a hard hit after that pick.
And what a nice catch. Kendall Sanders turned it into a defender there at the end, trying to strip the ball away from Gilbert, but he holds onto it.
Gilbert is up. Joey, for a moment you think about, shoulder separation, but then it, becomes maybe a stinger as he, I mean, that's just a great concentration to catch that football.
Mic check. Mic check. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Mic check.
And you saw Sanders continue to dig away at that football.
Yeah. Well, I'm not so sure, Craig. We saw that ball maybe slip away a little bit at the end. I wouldn't be surprised if this is being reviewed right now. I'm sure they do review every play upstairs, but making sure he maintained possession all the way through.
Oklahoma State, after the interception, with the football at the 16-yard line and a 38-13 lead. Jeff Coat.
Well, if you're Texas defense, you know what's coming. Oklahoma State has a 25-point lead. Their job right now is to run the clock. And so you know they're going to run the football. Time to get aggressive, time to create a turnover.
A loss of 2, second down and 12. As the third quarter clock is winding down. And Chelf's going to let this clock run out. What a game he's had thus far through 3 quarters here in Austin, Texas. The visiting Cowboys of Oklahoma State leading 38-13 on Fox.
Craig, it's been the interceptions today that have been the momentum turner for Oklahoma State. Gilbert takes the pick 6 back. Then Levy gets one over the middle. And Ryan, it's uncharacteristic for Case McCoy, but is Oklahoma State doing anything special?
They're not doing anything specifically special. They're just playing their coverages, playing their technique, and then executing. And that's what you want from your defensive players on the field. Go out there, execute the game plan, and good things happen. I mean, Justin Gilbert is flying around making plays. He did it in cover 2, does it in cover 3. I mean, impressive plays by your corner out there.
Ron agreed. Levy kind of was peeking and sneaking and picked up an interception. And this young man's had a terrific afternoon. Ran one back on a pick 6, and they're still looking at his shoulder. Got a headset issue. Going to change out the microphone, Joey. We want to make sure we can hear what's happening on the field.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Mic check. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. Mic check. Mic check. Testing 1, 2, 3. Mic check. Mic check.
Getting kind of that. He's down at the 15-yard line. I don't know if they changed out the battery pack, but boy, that tells you a lot. And Joey, you've been in situations that your college career in the pros. I mean, sometimes the day just doesn't go your way. 3 picks, a season high. He's got 9 now on the season.
Yeah, over the last 3 weeks, he'd thrown 5 interceptions. 4 of them were not his fault. Tip balls. He'd been the victim of some bad circumstances. Today, he made a couple poor decisions, and it's hurt.
Chelf on a handoff, straight ahead goes Roland. That looks like he's probably got a scrape, a cut on that right shin. He's been kind of hounded and pressured throughout the afternoon. And McCoy told us, look, I'm not letting this job get away from me after the injury to Ash. But today he has struggled on this home field.
But you know what? There's one thing that we know about Case McCoy is this guy's scrappy. This guy's going to fight, and this guy is not going to give up. He'll keep playing until this final whistle.
Right now, Chelf has been the MVP of this game on plays such as this. He has had his way roaming in the middle of the field against the Texas front. Had some great blocks up front. The field's open, and he's been following his fullback Seaton all day.
Well, he's coming up on 200 yards through the air and 100 yards on the ground. I'd say that's a decent day for any quarterback.
Like those guys up front, give them some love. Brandon Webb, Jake Jenkins, Parker Graham, Brandon Garrett.
And it's really a group that was kind of forgotten about to start the season.
Until 3 weeks ago.
Absolutely. They had some key injuries to start the year. Some guys were shuffling around, and it wasn't until about three weeks ago that they really found a core group to go with, and they've played very well ever since.
Pressure comes. Kip Smith on the 4th down punt. And Shipley waits for a fair catch back at the 33. McCoy shaken. Let's see what he's got when we come back. 13:29 left in Austin. Fox College Football is sponsored by KFC, the official sponsor of Couch Gating. KFC plus football equals Couch Gating. By K Jewelers, every kiss begins with K. And by ADT, always there. Joe, you're looking at the 18-wheeler, the big rig of Oklahoma State. That's their equipment truck they bring in. Big Mac sitting on top of the hood. 480-mile drive from Stillwater to Austin, and the driver told us, just to be safe, he likes the cover of night when he drives. Likes to come and go under the blanket of night. Bergeron taken down by the ankles by Castleman.
Is that a truck coming through the offensive line?
I think it was. Number 91, 300-pounder. How about that swim move? And Bergeron never got the motor started. That's kind of been the way it's been for the ground game today.
Well, how many different names have we called for the Oklahoma State defense? Wren, Castleman, Gilbert, Daquan Lowe, everybody, Levy.
Jimmy Bean, McCoy on a quick throw. Bergeron the catch, Levy there. There's just been a very little vertical game today from McCoy, and when he's gone deep, Oklahoma State has picked his pocket.
Yeah, they have. He hit a great ball up the sideline early to Mike Davis, but then tried to hit one there on the last drive and got intercepted by Gilbert. It's been tough sledding for Case McCoy today.
3rd down and long. Pedals back in the pocket again underneath, and right there collapsing. Count those jerseys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white Cowboy jerseys right on top of the football at the 35. They're going to give them forward motion or forward progression up to about the 37.
Well, it's obviously, well, no, it's not obviously. I was going to say it's 4-down territory for Texas, but they're bringing in the punting, in the punting crew here.
Charlie Moore awaits the punt of Anthony Farah. Hangs it high. That ball falls out of bounds. And they will mark it out right at the 27-yard line. Oklahoma State on the road in control on Fox. Our stat comparison brought to you by KFC, the official sponsor of Couch Gating. KFC plus football equals Couch Gating. McCoy, Chelf. 197 yards passing, 190 for McCoy, but 3 picks. The difference maker, those interceptions and Chelf's ability to run the football.
Yeah, those interceptions were huge momentum turners for this Oklahoma State team. One right before halftime, one as Texas was mounting a comeback.
Chelf on a simple handoff down the edge. Goes Roland. They're making it look simple. You agree, Ryan?
They are making it look simple, Craig. And on Joey, I tell you, because Joe Wickline, the offensive line coach, came to his offensive line for Oklahoma State and said, guys, we have to finish it. We got to be physical. Let's close out this game and win. We can do that. They just did that in that last play. It's been impressive the way this offensive line's been playing and opening up holes for these running backs and Clint Chelf.
Yeah, Mike Gundy said it perfectly, Ryan. You know, look, I wasn't real happy with the way we were playing up front. They figured some things out, got through some injuries. They put the right pieces in place, and look what they're producing right now.
Well, they're peaking right at the right time as well.
Roland can't turn it outside, and he's smothered back for a loss at the 40-yard line. Time for a grain break. Let's check in back in L.A. with Patrick O'Neill.
The Mamba can strike at any time, and when he does, it's usually deadly. After Utah cuts Oregon's lead to 3, Anthony Thomas returning the kickoff 86 yards for a touchdown. His 4th kickoff return for a TD, a school record. 29-14 Ducks lead Utah. Craig, does that bring a smile to Joey's face?
Of course, Joey, the old gunslinger, played at Oregon. Trying to right the ship after the loss. Knocked out their national title hopes for the time being. Texas stands tall again on the defensive side, and Leroy Scott with the stop on Jeremy Smith. I tell you, DeAnthony Thomas is a special player up at Oregon. We just saw his ability to break tackles.
Explosive. There are very few guys in this country who can literally take it the distance every time they touch him. You know, Josh Stewart maybe for Oklahoma State, Sammy Watkins at Clemson, DeAnthony Thomas, Marquise Lee. Very few of those guys around this country.
3rd down and long as we hit the 10-minute mark here in the 4th. Jeremy Smith close to a 1st down, but short by about 2 yards. Duke Thomas in on the tackle with Michael Thompson. About 2.5 yards for a 1st down.
And with the way that Oklahoma State's running the football, I wouldn't be scared to go for it here. But just like last time when I suggested going for it on 4th down, the punting unit comes out.
They've averaged over 6 yards of play in this game. And so Kip Smith in for his 5th punt. And again, he's got a chance to pin Texas back deep in their own territory, and the officials jump in. Play clock ran out, so they're going to march it back 5.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Diggs called for a fair catch. It takes a right turn and is down inside the 25-yard line. Kip Smith with the boot. McCoy. Rough day here in Texas. Craig Bolerjack, Joey Harrington, Ryan Neese back in Austin, Texas. Joey, you break down the remaining schedules. As Mac Brown told us yesterday, look, if we lose, we still have a shot because they've got to play Baylor. Baylor's got a big schedule ahead, by the way, with Tech, Oklahoma State Tech later tonight on Fox. And, of course, next week, how about Oklahoma State Baylor?
Yeah, exactly. Oklahoma State does not have an easy route the last 2 weeks here. So while a loss doesn't completely take Texas out of it, it makes it a lot more difficult, and they have to rely on Oklahoma State to lose, and then they have to beat Baylor later on to end the season.
McCoy. They had a little hot slant covered up nicely. Marcus Johnson taken down by Lindell Johnson at the 31. A pickup of, let's call it 7. Don't go far because Baylor will be on Fox tonight, 5th ranked in the country against Texas Tech, 7 Eastern. Low snap, McCoy. Quick throw, near side. Mike Davis with the catch at the 41, and he's wrestled out of bounds. And Ryan, now the question is, you look at the big picture in the last 3 weeks of the season. How about Oklahoma State's defense? Where does that stack up? And can it handle the spread of Baylor?
That's a great question, Craig and Joey. But at the same time, as I'm sitting down here on the sidelines, I've been very impressed with the way this defense has played. They've been playing fundamentally sound defense. That's the kind of defense that can shut down a Baylor unit. It won't be easy, but if they play like they are tonight, they can play with anybody in the country. Because this team, they're physical, they're smart, and they play great football. And that's what you want to see from a defensive unit going against an explosive offense like Baylor.
Well, you hit it right on the nose there, Ryan. If you're going to beat a Baylor team, you cannot give up big plays. You can't have mental busts. You can't have blown assignments. And Oklahoma State has played such solid defense all year long. Nobody tries to be the superstar. Everybody does their job, and consequently, they all make big plays.
Robertson nearly had an interception as he deflected that pass of McCoy. And you saw Glenn Spencer pacing the sideline. D coordinator also handles the linebackers for Oklahoma State. And all the above have played well. Those backers have been active. Malcolm Brown wrapped up, nowhere to run. That front line has played well with Trace Clark.
Hey, Craig, Baylor playing later tonight, like you said on Fox. These guys, Bryce Petty in the race for the Heisman Trophy. And yes, Tevin Reese did get injured, but Antoine Goodley is right there, a big play machine. I'm interested to see how Shock Linwood, the freshman, is going to fill in for Lake Seastrunk and Glasgow Martin. He's done great as a secondary back, but he's going to be carrying the load tonight.
Brown just carried the load for a first down to the 47-yard line. Yeah, I think Petty has kind of really gone under the radar. In fact, Baylor went really unrespected throughout the first month, maybe the first 6 weeks of college football.
Oh, it was because of the opponents they played, Craig, but by no means did they do anything unspectacular. I think Bryce Petty has a chance because of the remaining schedule tonight on Fox against Tech, Oklahoma State, Texas. Marquee games at the end of the year. He can make a run at this Heisman Trophy.
Boy, nearly a one-handed grab by Davis. But yeah, Baylor, we've had a chance to visit Waco a couple times this year. 61 points a game. They're the real deal. They spread the field, and Joey, we've talked a lot about it. They go above the numbers. They really put stress on defenses, especially in the secondary.
Well, they've slipped a little bit there. They're under 700 yards a game total offense. I was a little surprised at 685. I thought they were still at like 701, 703. They really should pick things up down there.
Second down 10 for Texas. Running through a tackle, Malcolm Brown. I still think this team has missed the leadership today of Jonathan Gray. He's got the breakaway speed as well. Brown's more of the plotter, taking nothing away from his power game, but you've got 4.4 speed in Gray and leadership that you don't have on the field today.
Well, yeah, you miss it with Gray. You miss it with Chris Whaley, but let's not overlook the absence of Jordan Hicks. I mean, he left this team 2 years in a row now. He hasn't been on the field, and Dalton Santos has done a great job filling in for him. But 2 years in a row, first team all-conference preseason Big 12. He's been absent for this Texas team all year, and I think they've really missed him.
Shipley, the catch at the 41-yard line. Ryan, what's your take? How good's Baylor in your eyes?
Baylor is probably the best offensive team that I've seen throughout the year. And obviously defensively, they got to get a little bit of credit too. They do a great job defensively. Antoine Goodley may be one of the top wide receivers. And I'll tell you, as we watch this game, Justin Gilbert, the cornerback for Oklahoma State, I think he could match up very well and shut down a Goodley. It won't be easy, but he could do that.
Davis juggled the ball incomplete, and so Texas will have to give it up on downs with just over 6 minutes left. Oklahoma State making a statement on the road here in Austin. Fox College Football is sponsored by Cadillac. And that model, I guess, Joey, comes with horns. How about that? Right, that one right off the...
That's a different kind of horn.
Right, that one right off the lot. Yes, on the road again. 38-13. It joined us late. It was 28-10. Oklahoma State at the half. Cowboys have allowed just a field goal in an opening drive, Joey, way back in the third quarter. Childs, flag down inside the 40.
We're probably going to have holding here, Craig, but what a great job by the freshman recognizing the situation.
Holding. Offense, number 54. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
That's Chase Jenkins.
Well, I was going to say, great job by the freshman, Rennie Childs, realizing that as he turns the corner, that's where the space may be, but there's also the sideline there, which is going to stop the clock. He stopped his momentum, cut back inside. You see a lot of freshmen make the freshman mistake of simply getting too much momentum and riding out of bounds. Instead, he stopped, didn't go for the yards, but kept the clock moving.
Clock's under 6 minutes here in Austin, Texas. It'll be interesting to see what kind of response this loss will have on Longhorn faithful. And once again, most likely you're going to see Mack Brown trying to dig himself and this team out of despair as Childs again the ball carrier.
But you know, if there's anybody who can do it, it's Mack Brown. I mean, let's be honest. He's realized the pressure. He's realized the situation, but has handled it with class the entire year. I love what he told his teammates, or his team, to start the year. People are going to write bad things about it. If it hurts your feelings, don't read it. But if you can use it as motivation, then go ahead and become better because of it. But Mack Brown has done a fantastic job of leading his team through a tough situation this year.
Oklahoma State again pounds away with Staley. First carry for Kai Staley, number 9 out of Guthrie, Oklahoma. Time for our Buick game summary. Stewart, inactive leg injury. We thought he would be missed, but Oklahoma State's found a lot of ways to get the ball to many different Cowboys. Chelf, I mean, just a flawless game.
He set the tempo from the opening drive. When he took that team down, carried the ball 5 times for 54 yards and a touchdown, he set the tempo for an entire game, and he allowed his teammates to get involved. Fantastic job by Clint Chelf from the opening kick.
I think, again, his legs, Joey, really kept Texas off balance, and they never had a chance to really recover from that.
You heard Mac Brown say it to Ryan going in at halftime. We need to find a way to stop Clint Chelf running the draw, and we need to find a way to defend the option. They didn't do it, and consequently, Oklahoma State was able to do anything that they wanted on offense.
Well, Mike Gundy is just about less than 4 minutes away from being perfect in Texas. His 9th year in Stillwater. He's 2-6 all time at this point, but both wins in Austin. He's going to get his 3rd tonight.
It's pretty impressive to come in 3 years in a row and win in this stadium.
High snap, punts away. Fair catch taken at the 26-yard line by Shipley. Down the stretch we go. Gundy and company on top in Austin. 38-13 Oklahoma State. Those are the eyes of Case McCoy. And Joey's an old quarterback. You've got to have a short memory. McCoy's got to go back to work probably right now. Soon after the game, he's got Texas Tech at home next week.
Yeah, this season is not over for Texas. Yeah, they're going to be behind the 8 ball with Oklahoma State having a game up on them. But Okie State plays Baylor. Okie State plays Oklahoma. Texas still has a game against Baylor. There's a lot of football left to be played here.
McCoy's done for today. Tyrone Swoops, a true freshman out of White Wright, Texas. Fresh out of high school. Hands it off. Bergeron, maybe a yard or 2. Time for a game break. Let's go back to Los Angeles and check in with Patrick.
All right, yeah, real quick, Duke is trending, guys, because they may pull off the upset over number 23, Miami. Brandon Connett, his 4th rushing touchdown of the day, also threw for 1. So with the win, hey, Duke should find itself ranked for the first time since 1994, 38-30 in the 4th. Craig, Joey.
Patrick, when you say ranked, I'm thinking basketball, not the Duke Blue Devils of football.
No, no, no. The Dukies are going to find themselves in the driver's seat for that ACC championship game, matching up against Florida State.
Swoops, he's just in there to manage this clock as Bergeron gets yet another handoff up to around the 44-yard line. Tall, young quarterback, true freshman, as I mentioned, 6'4", 245. He's got the ball, put down a stiff arm. Gallops to the sideline and reaches out to about the 46. Texas Tech Baylor following here on Fox.
Hey, look, I want to say this, Craig. I'm looking pictures of Case McCoy here, and yeah, he struggled today through 3 interceptions, but we've all been there. And there's something that you can say about Case McCoy is that he doesn't stop fighting. When we talked to him this week, when we talked to him last week, what was it that jumped out to all of us?
No quit attitude.
Absolutely. There's no quit in that guy.
Well, you know, he's been, obviously when you have a big brother, Colt, 2-time Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, a great story is that McCoy was given his jersey from the equipment manager, remember, and they gave him 6 because brother wore 12, and he said, if you're half as good,
then you've earned your scholarship.
Yeah.
You better believe he's earned his scholarship. Because Case McCoy, while he did struggle today, has done an incredible job. Nobody knows how difficult it is to be a backup quarterback. You have to be ready at every minute.
Well, right now, Swoops is a favorite player in Austin.
Oh, the backup quarterback is always the favorite player in every team.
Swoops on a keeper. Breaks a tackle down to the 30-yard line.
And look, yes, Texas may be moving the ball right now with a minute left in this game, but do not overlook the great things that Case McCoy has done for this team, has done for this program, not just this year. Let's go back to 2011 when he and David Ash were going back and forth. Let's go back to last year when he filled in spot time when they needed him. This guy has been there for this Longhorn program at every step of the way and does not get enough credit for how well he's played.
You got to give credit now to the other side as Gundy came in with a great game plan. Chelf delivered as Swoops goes up top. There's contact, no flag, incomplete, stops the clock with 43 seconds left. But Gundy, again, I'm just amazed you can roll into Austin, Texas and win 3 straight times during your tenure of 9 years in Stillwater. Don't forget, he was coach of the year in 11. They went 12-1, beat Stanford Fiesta Bowl overtime. That was a thrilling game, 41-38.
Oh, and they were inches from being in that national championship.
Yeah.
Remember that overtime loss to Iowa State?
Swoops, little pitch and catch inside the 30-yard line. Mike Davis with the grab. Chelf, terrific afternoon. And you know what? The other thing about Coach Gundy told us, and you had an interesting conversation about J.W. Walsh, who's a fine player himself, but Gundy made it clear Chelf is our guy. And that's who we're sticking with.
Yeah, you know what? He said Chelf is our guy. I'd like him to play as if he's not looking over his shoulder, but it's tough to do if you're not the established starter. You know, I think his play today established himself as the starter. He did a fantastic job all game long, running the ball, throwing the ball, leading his team. He did everything he needed to under center today.
197 yards, a couple of touchdowns, ran for 2, picked up 95, nearly 10 yards a carry. And Oklahoma State's going to run their streak to 6 in a row. Texas' streak ends at 6 straight. And this should be the final play as Swoops is pushed out of the pocket. He takes a hard hit down inside the 15. And Oklahoma State picks up the win on the road. The Cowboys jump now to 9-1, 6-1 in Big 12 play, and the first loss in Big 12 competition for Texas. Well, the coaches are about to meet at midfield. The officials step in and say, no, we're going to play one more. Let's play another down. Make sure you stick around. Texas Tech Baylor coming up on Fox.
I'm going to find somewhere to watch that game. That's going to be an interesting show. Cliff Kingsbury and his young offense against Baylor and the explosive offense of Art Briles, Bryce Petty. How about Bryce? Sitting for 3 years behind 2 pretty decent quarterbacks, Robert Griffin, Nick Florence. Learned a lot from those guys, and it's showing for Baylor right now.
We're going to play one more. 2 seconds on the clock to make it official. Swoops. Wanted to throw, tackled, and that's going to do it. The clock runs dry. And now Gundy will make his way over to the field with Mack Brown to shake hands. And Oklahoma State, big win on the road. And their title hopes are alive. For Joey Harrington, Ryan Neese, Craig Bullerjack wishing you a good evening from Austin. Coming up after the break, we'll send you back to Rob Stone in our Fox College Saturday studios. You've been watching Fox College Football presented by Kay Jewelers.